and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order. And the first order of business is public announcements. Details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. The first order is state primary, state referendum, Fairfield's annual town budget meeting referendum, and MSAD number 49 school budget validation referendum elections will be held at the community center on July 14th, 2020. The school budget validation, isn't that being held at the school? That's what I had heard.
They just had it last week by YouTube.
Yeah, Christine.
So the school budget meeting was held electronically. The school budget
Right.
validation referendum is held at the polls in conjunction with
It will
all the
be,
other
okay,
elections.
because somebody had told me they were having it at the school, so just didn't want
Big
mass
change.
confusion. Yeah, all right. Okay, number 2 is absentee ballots are available and may be requested in advance via fairfieldme.com and returned via town office drop box during office hours. Second order of business is public hearings. To hear from the public on the annual town budget meeting warrant. Is there anybody?
I'm not aware of anybody that's in the gymnasium.
When I came back, it was empty.
There's nobody in the gymnasium from
What
the
about
public.
on the,
So if there's anybody from out in the Zoom world that has a question, now would be the time to do that. And what they would do is unmute their microphone so that we can hear their question, and therefore we would be able to answer their questions
Right.
with whatever they have. And just be aware with this technology, sometimes there's a little bit of delay between actions and voices, and so give ourselves time to complete sentences, that's all.
okay, I hereby declare this public
Well, we've got some.
hearing open.
Oh.
I'm able to see all the attendance in the meeting, and it doesn't
Yep.
appear that anybody has any questions.
Okay,
We can do a brief, quick rundown overview if you would like, just so that folks at home who are listening, hopefully everyone received their mailer at home, and with all the information and details regarding each of our questions. We've received no questions at the town office, no emails, no phone calls. I've had very little at all, but none at all, actually.
okay,
We have posted it quite a few times on our social media pages
Right.
and our website and that sort of stuff. Everything in here is self-explanatory. I think hopefully what helps is the fact that the overall budget is down. It is approximately $24,229 less than last year, which is a good thing. So it represents a 1.07% decrease, even with using the higher amounts. As we had discussed, sometimes the council and the budget committee disagreed on the amounts that they wanted to have put forward, but we used the higher amounts between the two. So even with that, it's still a decrease in this year's budget from last year.
okay. Well, there being nothing, then I hereby declare public hearing closed. Move on to number 2, which is the third order of business, public comments. Each limit 3 minutes, equivalent to public speaking. Members of the public may email comments for council at info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. the day of the meeting on any topic or agenda item. Items may be read aloud at this time. Are there any? Okay. I hereby declare the public comments closed. Fourth order of business, reports from staff and committees. Move to the town manager's report first.
Okay, so on June 18th, the Kennebec Regional Development Authority's Executive Board had a Zoom meeting to make a recommendation for the new real estate broker. We have decided on a new broker that does have an actual office here in the state of Maine, which is really good. We're still negotiating out that contract, so that will be public information after next week when the recommendation goes to the General Assembly, which they will meet next Thursday via Zoom as well. So then that will be public after that, which is good. We're hoping with a real estate broker, and this broker actually has a very broad reach around the country. It's affiliated with multiple firms all over the United States that specialize a lot in these industrial parks and that sort of stuff. So hopefully it will show some progress. And then also on the 23rd, KVCOG Board of Directors held a special Zoom meeting. We're still in the process of discussing their 2021 budget, but that should hopefully be completed today or within the next couple of days. We had a final piece left and we did a vote online, and then that will go to the full KVCOG Assembly for a final ratification, and that date will be coming up. So that council is aware, our excise tax collection, as we thought 2 weeks ago, has surpassed our projections. That was the only one left that we were worried about. And as of yesterday, it was nearly $70,000 more than projections. So we definitely did find that we've met those projections.
Very good.
Wanted to make sure you were aware that the Masons have started a fundraiser for first responders. They're doing a can and bottle drive, so there'll be drop-off locations in between. One will be at the fire department here in town. I think there's going to be one at the Benton Town office, one at the Clinton transfer station, and a couple other locations that they're working on. This fundraiser was inspired by the accident that happened in Clinton this past spring, late winter, that killed the children in the area, and that got them to thinking that they wanted to try to do something. They don't know what they're going to do with the money yet, but they do know that they wanted to do something special for first responders in the region, so that was a good piece. And more details about that will be forthcoming. And we did receive the asbestos report about the Oakland Road property next to the Grange from Roger Shorty last Friday. So you will have that when we give you your packets for the next agenda on the 8th. And then also, as a reminder, all non-emergency services will be closed on July 3rd, which is next Friday, in observance of Independence Day. And that is it for me.
All right. Committee reports.
For the Economic and Community Development Committee, we're not meeting in July unless absolutely necessary. So our next meeting is going to be in August, the first Tuesday in August.
Okay. And then I've got the Kennebec Regional Diversity Equity Inclusive Committee met last Thursday. And the main item on the meeting was the Kennebec Regional Diversity Declaration. And this was presented as a draft to the committee, and actually was 100% for the committee that was there, was 100% good. They all liked it. It will be refined, and then it will be presented to our board here in our first meeting in July. All right, so basically for approval of a resolution. It also will be presented to Waterville, Winslow, and Oakland boards. And basically what it is, it's a full declaration on diversity for the area. It is felt very strongly by the chamber, which is where we had our meeting, that it is very good for business and possible companies coming in, manufacturing or whatever, coming into the area. And we'll all have a copy of it. The town manager has seen that report, so.
And it's not just the communities that are immediately surrounding us. The plan is that it will go to all 24 members of KRDA, all of the KVCOG members, so it really will be an entire region with one statement about diversity and inclusion. So it'll have a pretty broad reach when this committee
Right.
is done. So it's a good piece.
Right, yeah, I had a long discussion with the gentleman that has written that they're doing it, and it was a very, very interesting discussion, but it was very mind-opening. Okay. Anything else? All right. Moving on to the fifth order of business, consent agenda. These items are considered routine or standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion unless a council member requests that that item be removed and acted as a regular action item on the agenda. The first item is 20-78, which is ordered that the Fairfield Town Council hereby waives the reading of and accepts the minutes for the meeting 2020-12 held on June 10th, 2020. And also item 2079, ordered that the Town Council hereby approves the treasurer's warrant.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor? It is unanimous. All right, sixth order of business. To take action on the following items of business. Item 20-80, ordered that the Town Council hereby considers applicants for appointment to fill one MSAD 49 school board vacancy for a term set to expire on Election Day, November 3rd, 2020.
This is with Don Woodbury,
That's the only one we had.
and
in
he's,
Yeah.
he's
The only
on
one
From what I
that
can
you
see,
received. And he
yeah.
is actually on this Zoom meeting too,
Yeah.
if you,
Then I make a motion to appoint Don Woodbury to this position until Election Day in November 2020.
and I will second that.
Discussion. I today had gotten an email from somebody that wanted me to vote for somebody and said that they had put it in and that, but I guess it hasn't, nothing has shown up, so.
we received nothing. This is
Right.
the only one that we received.
So this is the only one that we received.
And I thank Don too for stepping forward and
Well, if he wants to say
doing
something to the
this.
council, because I know he's been popping in and around.
Yeah, I just see his name.
Hi there.
That's Shelley. Hi, Don.
Hi there.
Hi.
Excuse me.
There he
Yes, I'm
is.
here.
Don, I'd like to thank you for taking interest in filling out the paperwork, and I appreciated your letter that you wrote. It's nice to have somebody who graduated from Lawrence become part of the school board, and I'm very
Yeah.
pleased for that. So, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion
We
that we.
got a
motion. already
Oh,
have
oh, we have one, I'm
In
sorry.
a second.
I'm sorry, missed that.
I seconded.
You did second
I did
that.
second it. Okay, we're ready to vote.
Excuse me. All right. Any more discussion? There being none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries full.
Enjoy the rest of your vacation, Don.
I will. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Moving on to item 20-79. Ordered that the town hereby approves, oops, I'm sorry.
Good one.
2081, I'm all right tonight. Ordered that the town council hereby approves and signs a sewer certificate of commitment in the amount of $124,316.50 for the fourth quarter fiscal year sewer billing for a period of 4/1/2020.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and that's, I'm sorry, 6/6/30/2020, yep. Okay, Any discussion?
I have just one
Yes.
question for you.
Yes.
In the future, because this is something that you do quarterly, and this really, it has to be approved by council, that's the technicality for these sewer bills.
Okay.
What do you think about putting this actually on your consent agenda, so that we don't have to have it as a separate item? It's not anything that's debatable, it's people's sewer bills, and you just have to approve it. And we can keep it there, and then if anybody has any questions, you can pull it off the same as everything else, but I just thought it might be an easier place for us to put it
Yeah,
for you in the future.
It was quarterly, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just
yeah.
quarterly, and it's standard business, and it's something that you have to do, so. And it's not anything that we ever debate, it's,
I'm okay with that.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
All right, council approves that. All right, now I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Carries full. All right, moving on to item 20-82. Hereby orders that the town council hereby authorizes the use of contingency funds as may be necessary as of June 30th, 2020, to cover expenditures that may exceed annual budgeted amounts.
So moved.
Second?
Wait a minute.
Discussion. Yes.
And this is
Yep.
because we will not have an approved budget, correct?
No,
No.
this is something that we do every year, typically, sometimes we know that we have a budget that's gonna go over, and you use contingency funds to cover that for the current fiscal year that we're in. Right now, we don't have any budgets that we think are going to go over, but there's another week left before the end of the year gets here. But no, it's not that. This is standard. This
Okay.
happens every year at the end of the year. And this allows us to fix those. We don't think that there are any that we're gonna need to worry about. And if it does happen, you get an update at your meeting in July that lets you know what we had to use from contingency. And the contingency funds are in a reserve account that we have specifically for this purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All in favor? Carries full. All right, item 20-83. Ordered that the town council hereby approves the purchase of sewer inspection cameras from HP Fairfield in the amount of $49,070, with funds to be expended from the sewer equipment capital reserve account.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Yes.
I just have a question about the inspection camera themselves, because with the price, how long do those tend to last? I don't know much about sewer cameras.
It's expected to last, we put a year frame of 10 years on.
Okay, oh, that's reasonable.
So you never had any before, Bruce, or?
We have not,
Okay.
but in speaking with others that have.
Okay. It's a lot easier than looking down on a flashlight.
So,
Stephanie?
oh, go ahead.
Okay. I just would like to say of the three companies that were provided for quotes, I really like the idea of keeping our business local. And so when we get ready to vote, that's who I would like to see the motion go towards.
It was in there.
It already says HP
It already
Fairfield.
Oh, it already
Yeah.
says that, okay.
Yes.
So, and I'm pleased to see that, so.
And they were the low bidder too, so.
Yeah, yeah, in
And-
case anything goes wrong, it's nice to have local people.
And what's
that-
interesting is that the equipment actually is identical. It's the
Yeah.
same exact system with three completely different
Yeah.
prices. And for some of the council that was on the council last year, remember, we were hoping to get money from the railroad to actually purchase these cameras. We were going to only have to come up with about $15,000, and $30,000 was gonna come from the railroad, and they chose not to pay that fine that they were supposed to pay to the state. We partnered with Waterville Sewer District, and they were going to do a storm drain separation. So this kind of got put on the back burner for a while, but we do need this. If we were to contract this out, prices are roughly around $1.25 a foot for cameraing. So to camera all of our lines all over the town in 1 year is probably going to be more than $100,000. So this is definitely cheaper. for us in the long run and will definitely last longer, so it'll be good.
This require training for the person that's going to be operating it?
I'm sure that it will.
It does.
And it's included, actually.
Provides that
And it
as part of the bid.
Yep, it's written right in the bid spec, training and sub-site electronics.
Oh, yes.
So it's full days of training. And we recently received an old trailer from Winslow that they had their they ended up getting a brand-new system this year, but they gave us their trailer that they had their equipment in, so we already have the means to house it, so.
Excellent. All right. Any more discussion? All right, do we have a motion? All right. All in favor? 100% approved. All right, moving on to item 2084. Ordered that the town council hereby signs quitclaim deed for the David Danforth property purchase of land located off of Water Street, map 18, lot 75.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I think we covered that already.
There being none, all in favor? Carries forward. All right, moving on to item 20-85. Ordered that the town council hereby approves 3 adult-use marijuana licenses and authorizes the town manager to sign and submit corresponding 3 Maine Office of Marijuana Policy Maine Adult Use Local Authorization Forms in accordance with the Fairfield Land Use Sections 6.4A and 9.20 and state statutes. A, Permit M 2020-01, Cannabis Cured Cultivation, LLC. B, Permit M 2020-02, Full Spectrum Solutions, LLC. And 3, Permit M 2020-03, Mainly Baked, LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I see the chief weighed in on it, so we're, no
Right.
issues, chief?
You had a memo from the chief, yep.
I have none. No, the
No.
facility is already there, and it's more of a wholesale facility, so there won't be any increase in traffic in the area. I believe everything's gonna be shipped out, so.
Okay.
So
Thank
there's
you.
like no traffic, any traffic jams up there, because I know the ridge, it's on top of a ridge. And when you're going down, you just, if you're going fast enough, you won't be able to stop if you just come up on it real quick.
You are correct, and that was an issue that I did look at, but there should be no increase in traffic because this isn't gonna be a retail facility where people can go in and purchase. They're going to distribute it through, I assume, the trucking industry.
So they're gonna have actually, not bigger trucks, they have pickup trucks coming in, picking it up and taking it out.
I would assume box trucks, yes.
Yeah, they got a special area for that, so they can turn around and back up to like a, almost like a warehouse or.
I haven't toured the facility. That was something that Nicole would do, but it looks to me like they've got plenty of area up there to turn a truck around.
There's a lot of space up there in that
Yeah.
region.
I go by
So
once in a while.
this is not a retail license such that, like the chief said, whereas they're currently medical now, and what this means is that they will now be able to sell what they grow for retail purposes as opposed to medical purposes, but it's not gonna change their traffic flow any different up in there. So it's not like there'll be a storefront where you can go in and purchase.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
It's so that, it's the cultivation piece of it, and then it will go out. So it'll be like a wholesale kind of thing, where,
There is traffic in and out of the facility now, and we have had very few complaints since they've been in operation.
Any other?
just so folks at home who are listening and aren't aware, the planning board has thoroughly reviewed this application. They had their public hearing, the abutters were all notified. That process was done here last week via Zoom. advertised in the paper, all of those pieces, so that folks have had the ability, it has been thoroughly vetted. It's not that the town council has just received information and not going to discuss it. It was the planning board's job to do that review process for you as per the ordinance. But this is a piece that you need to do similar to you do with every liquor license that we have in town. And what will happen is next year, when exactly a year from now, well, once they receive their official permits from the state, they'll have to renew every year, and you'll treat it the same way you do liquor licenses existing, so that we will make sure that none of the town departments have had issues with the location, that there have not been any problems there, and they have to repay again every year for this piece,
So it's a standard practice, like when you put the application in, you have to pay the application fee before approval, or?
Yes, the way this works is you have to pay for the licensing fee beforehand. Yeah, plus they had to pay a $100 conditional use permit fee too, I think. So, and there's been multiple engineers involved in this, lots of lawyers, the state, a whole bunch of folks.
No, I know
Yeah.
MMA's been involved and things
Yeah.
like that. I know, I've been attending a meeting before. Any extra property tax the town's gonna get off this, or I know they've been putting,
Not that I'm aware of at this point in
they've been
time.
paying property tax anyways?
Yeah, they've already been paying property
Okay.
taxes.
But 100% of this license fee goes to us, right?
Correct.
If the legislature approves it, it hasn't been approved yet. Legislature has to approve any town to get funding, which they have not done yet.
No, this is a license that we give, not that the
Right.
state gives.
That's correct.
Right. So this licensing fee that they just paid, the 63, 6,500, whatever it was.
6,500.
That we keep. That's just like if you paid for a building permit here in town, that stays here. That doesn't go to the state. That's what we charge to administer this entire application process, and how that goes. And that's a fee that the council set a while back.
Yep. Any more discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor? Opposed? We've got 4 to 1, 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Seventh order of business, council workshop and other business. First on the seventh order is discuss Crossroads TV budget.
One of the things I wanted to mention to you is that you received some additional sheets with this that you should not have received, and it might have led to some confusion while you were looking at it. There was a breakdown of fees. I think the very last page is a breakdown of salary with benefits, and that sort of stuff. And that's old data. That page was never updated. That was when we were working through it last year, and it just happened to be a tab on this spreadsheet. So when the spreadsheet file got saved in your council packet, everything was printed and sent to you, and you really should have only received the budget page.
Okay.
So, but as of right now, as you can see, this budget is less than what we had put together last year. It represents a $6,228 decrease. This is funded all through sponsorships, franchise fees, and fees from televising other municipalities and programming other contracted hire pieces. Last year's budget was the very first budget that was ever adopted for the station. So we were going with best guess. Some of it are still plans that we hope to do in the future, things that we didn't get to, such as some of the marketing pieces. Mostly because we planned on marketing the fact that our station had moved to channel 1301, and then the court case happened that it was going to move back to 7 and 11. And now we've been told roughly about the middle of July, they have been mandated to move it, even though that there's an appeal out that they have to still turn these stations back on in their original
Good.
locations. So we should be turned on at 7 or 11, depending on your location within the 9 towns, and we'll stay at 1301. So once this is settled, we'll do some good marketing on the station of where we can be found and some branding with our station number. But until that's settled, there's no sense wasting any money on any of that. Franchises If they stay where they're at, we'll be okay. There are new laws that have changed that will allow cable companies to deduct in-kind contributions from our franchise money. So the fact that we have free cable at the fire station could be deducted. The fact that we have a television station could be deducted. We're not sure what that's going to look like, but that also is being appealed. But as of right now, based upon our balances, we definitely have enough funds, even if we don't receive another drop of franchise money, to ensure that the station can run for at least the next 2 years. And we're constantly working on ideas so that should franchise fees be drastically reduced, we have other options for trying to fund the station so that it doesn't go away.
Nice.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to the seventh order of business is a sewer enterprise budget and sewer rates. And I will let the town manager hit that one.
So the sewer budget, I'm sorry, I meant to open up my rates folder before we got to this point, and I did not, so I apologize. The rate information that was sent to you, you received hard copy, and you should have actually received the Excel file itself, so you could have played around with the rate on your own at home. That's the way that that was designed, and we'll make sure that you do get that before your next meeting. But the sewer budget, as you can see, is up, even with the biggest increase, of course, is KSTD. That is up roughly $69,508. That's with using a minor, well, a 5% projected increase for their April quarter next year. KSTD runs on a year that runs May through April, so like even right now, our final payment is over budget for over what we had budgeted, because the increase went into effect for the payment that's going out right now in this warrant tonight that you just approved.
Yep.
So I factored in a small increase, a 5% to that last quarterly payment for next year, so that hopefully we don't get caught. But that in and of itself is a $69,508 increase. That's more than what we currently pay a quarter. So literally our budget for KSTD went from being 4 quarters to 5, but still has to be paid in 4. So the budget total itself is up $62,173. We've had some changes in staff, which has decreased wages and benefits slightly. A few things that we've changed. Contingency, now that we have gotten a capital reserve account set up for this department, we don't need to keep as much in contingency, so we dropped that down. The bond payment, of course, just inevitably drops. And that's really it. Lien costs, simply because of the fact that lien costs this year were substantially higher than what we had last year. Budgeted for the year, those costs come back to us as revenue on the other side, so it does actually become a wash within the budget. So if you notice, the revenues, based upon your current rates, where we think the revenues will fall for the year, it's roughly going to be $613,690, which leaves us a shortfall of $58,288, which then in turn leads to the need for the discussion about a rate increase.
Yes, Steph.
So my first thought is, we need to do some kind of a rate increase so that we don't keep going into arrears because of not enough money. But what happens if there's excess money at the end of their fiscal year? Where does that money go?
So it stays in their own, it stays in their own accounts, just like ours do for the town, so we have the general ledger accounts. Same thing happens. The sewer is an enterprise fund because it is funded through fees and not taxation, so its accounts don't lapse, meaning it doesn't roll off into some fund balance. Well, it does, but but not like the fund balance for the running the municipality. So they have funds that stay there so that they have their own individual undesignated fund balance that's there. The sewer, last year I think was the first year that the sewer was not in the red.
Okay. We really want to break even then.
Right.
So that there's
It's
no
not a
ex-
moneymaker
No.
by any means. What you want to do is make sure that, because it's still a nonprofit organization, but you have to have enough to cover your expenses. And not just your daily expenses, but the capital improvement piece. So by starting the capital reserve accounts that we had will allow us to do these fixes. So a large amount of our bond payments are sewer bonds. 5 of them are sewer
Right.
bonds because of the project repairs that we needed to do. And a lot of that was the separation of people's sewers from the stormwater system, or separating the stormwater system from sewer so that we're not paying to clean water that could go to the river. Because we don't need to clean rainwater, it can just go to the river. So those separation projects have been what the largest amount of expenses have been, and we still have a few of those left to do. But we also have an aging infrastructure, so we're gonna need to just start doing some repairs. So this camera system that we've just voted to purchase, we'll start inspecting in places where KSTD is telling us that during storms, they're seeing a rise in pump stations where they shouldn't, because that storm water should already be separated and be going to the river. So we'll be able to start looking at those lines, and any place where a line is cracked, you'll have water infiltration, and those will know that that's where those repairs need to be due, so we stop that water from going to the treatment facility.
Okay.
Because our fees for them are based upon their expenses and the volume that we send to them.
Okay. So I wasn't sure what we wanted, if we wanted to create some kind of a little nest egg, or just to break even with whatever we decide for the rates. So I was looking at this paper here, and if you look at the rate increase scenario 1, that means that the cost of cubic feet would go to $4.10. The minimum amount would be $4.75, which is 75 cents over what is current. And that would bring us to an increase of $61,863, which would take care of the deficit for this year. Do we anticipate more deficits for next year? Do we have to have a higher rate increase? If we're talking about an infrastructure that's going to need repairs, we need to have money, right?
So that's where you budget for we have 2 capital reserve accounts in this budget, okay? So in the sewer budget, come on, open up. There is repair and replace capital reserve, 20,000, and equipment reserve, which is 50,000.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's on the bottom of our page for repair, replace, reserve.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Equipment reserve, which is when you flip the page over, it's the very top.
Oh, right there, yeah.
Are you expecting another increase next year, or not, like, maybe I'll pump down this real quickly this year?
So I expected an increase every year. I did not expect an increase as drastic as this one was.
Yeah.
Absolutely did not.
So,
So, and we weren't the only ones that were hit. Hudamaki pays their own separate bill. They went up over $100,000. So what happens is that KSTD is funded through City of Waterville, the town of Fairfield, the town of Winslow, town of Benton, and Hudamaki. And now, town of Asboro.
What about Oakland?
No,
No,
Oakland pays Waterville Sewer District. And all of Oakland goes
Okay.
to Waterville Sewer District. Waterville Sewer District goes to KSTD.
Yeah.
Town of Bassboro goes to the town of Winslow. Winslow goes to KSTD, so they bill Winslow. So there's been a lot of licensing changes and capacity changes and those sorts of things that have happened in the course of the last couple of years. So while we went up, Huhtamaki went up, Waterville went down, and I think Winslow saw a small increase, but nowhere near this. And we had some years in which we've dropped, but, yeah, we went up 68, 650 this year. Winslow went up 22,222. Benton went up $7,006. Huhtamaki 163,793, and Waterville dropped 135,289.
This was due to the main break.
Yes. So the break that happened on Water Street in Waterville, when that main broke down near the Hathaway building,
Yep.
they were evidently told that they couldn't use capital reserve funds to replace that. And because Huhtamaki and Fairfield and Benton are the ones that mainly flow through it, we had to suffer the burden of that expense.
So is that what led to such a deficit this year, or?
That's what they said led up to it,
Led up
when this
to
was
it.
dropped off. So when this originally came out, was right before the COVID piece. Remember, we were gonna ask the sewer trustees to come speak
Oh,
to
yeah.
you about all of this change?
Yes.
Because there were some concerns where capital reserve money was used to actually pave the Waterville streets that led to the treatment facility, which means
Yep.
Fairfield's capital reserve contributions were paving Waterville streets.
Yeah.
And that we were not made aware of this humongous change ahead of time. So that meeting never did happen because of COVID. But it has a direct impact on the sewer budget. It is the biggest impact on the sewer budget, and it's gonna have a big impact on all of the ratepayers in the community. So what we've done before in the past, the last time we did a rate change, we thought we had done it enough so that we could, we did a good substantial jump last
Right.
time and thought we would maintain that and just do minor incremental shifts and slowly go up. We do know that our rates were really low. In fact, DEP was even commenting on the fact that our rates were too low. And we could be penalized for not generating enough in sewer fees to maintain our operating standards and our infrastructure. So we made that change, but we didn't predict that we were gonna end up with a $68,000 increase this year. So we need to adjust that. I would recommend that you go with a number that's going to be enough so that you're gonna cover, because the other thing you have to remember is when we do sewer billing, it's based upon consumption. So if you have a large user, say the dialysis clinic, and they were to close, they're no longer gonna contribute to your expenses. Whereas their one connection, we still have to pay the same amount to KSTD regardless whether the flows change this year or not. So it's just, those are the things to keep in mind. You don't wanna go so tight that you run the risk of not meeting your obligation. But you also don't wanna go so high because we're not a for-profit organization.
Right.
So the biggest piece was looking at around, if you because we're currently at the flat rate of $63.50 a month to the 65. And from the $4, for consumption to $4.30. That would give us an increase. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I think I'm telling you the wrong thing.
Is it the one on the last page that's the,
The scenario, that's our current rate?
Which
where you have
scenario?
current rate and,
Yes.
is that the one that we should be looking at?
We need to raise $58,288. So if you're looking at the last one, which brought us to 66 for consumption and $4.95, with almost $4, gives us $60,925.80.
So which scenario are we looking at, Michelle?
That's scenario 3D.
Okay, so one on the back was not sufficient enough?
No, so what happened down here at the bottom piece is that, I had sent this to you knowing that the bottom was not filled out, thinking you were going to be able to interact with this. And then, sorry. That didn't happen. And because I'm not connected to the server, I can't bring it up on my machine.
So I'm gonna do something.
All right, so if we look at scenario 1, which is the original, when you say original, what do you mean by that?
So you have your current rates,
Yeah,
that's where we're currently at,
yeah,
okay, and it tells you how much we generate. And then what I did in all of these scenarios is we increased pieces. So you can increase rates in various different ways. You can either do a flat increase, which is the minimum piece that people pay, okay? So that's where the $63.50 comes in. And then the consumption piece is what we pay per cubic foot. And then we've given you the average of what it is per quarter, and then we just multiplied it by 4. So in the original increase scenario, they said that this was an original piece that we were looking at doing for this year only. And then we realized that, of course, obviously the budget wasn't going to match all of that.
how often do we review the rates? Is it yearly or as needed?
It's been yearly since I've been here.
Okay, so then, I'm trying to get this, so we need to cover the loss for this year, plus we need to have money for next year,
This year, I don't think we'll be fine.
this year.
This year, right
Even though
now,
we're at 50,
because of where we're at, we look like we're going to be okay. So we received more than what because we did that rate increase before. Last year, we were fine, and we brought in enough. So that even though we had an increase with KSTD, right now, the budget as of June 17th, well today, because we've paid KSTD, we're still up $30,486. Okay, so we look like we're okay. So going right now for where we're at would be, we're gonna need the 58,280 on current rates is what we would have for a deficit
Yeah.
because of the increase.
So if we went 68.5, that should, my approach.
68 and 5. Is that a scenario, Mike?
No, it's in between a couple of scenarios.
Yeah, this,
All right,
I'm just the second one over.
because I was looking at scenario 3A. That's as close to breaking even as we can
Yeah.
get.
Trying to make it as minimum as possible.
But that's going to be like, what is it? A $5 monthly increase on people's sewer bills.
68.50, yes, that would be
Yeah, so it'd be a
$5
$5 increase
per quarter.
per quarter. Per quarter. See, it's hard to know this when you have
Yeah.
subjects.
So, and that's why I do apologize, it would have been much better if you would have had this, because then what you do is, the way that this works is when you're at home, you take a scenario and you
Yeah.
put it up in here, and it'll do the calculation for you, so you'll see what the monthly impact is, the quarterly impact, and then with every single thing, so, and then you can play with it, so that you, instead of saying like it's $4.85 for consumption, what does $4.95 look like for consumption? Or
Right.
sometimes even it's 96 cents or 99 cents, so you'll be able to adjust it. I did it in full dollar increments and then 50-cent increments for the consumption to get you started. And had you had the Excel sheet, you would have been able to manipulate that. So we're gonna get that sent to you though, so that you'll
Okay.
have that, and you should have that tomorrow, and be able to play around with those numbers. And then if you're fine with the budget, the way that it looks, I'll have a much clearer picture for you at your next meeting about the rates themselves and what you should be looking at. And then you're gonna wanna do a public hearing anyway, so that members are aware and things that you're gonna be doing. So you can get that feedback and people know what those rate changes would look like. These wouldn't go into effect until September, the September bills anyway. So it's not like we're in a mad dash tonight for you to make a decision, but we'll get you that. But as long, now that, if you're comfortable with what the expenses look like in the budget, we can frame up what the rates should
That's to
definitely
go,
look like.
it goes into effect the same time the property taxes takes effect in September.
Well, the property tax bills will go out as soon as everything is completed and done from all the pieces. I mean, they could go out, you know, sooner rather than later, hopefully. Could be August, could be into July, as long as everything goes smoothly. It's based upon the when we do the quarterly billing, that's all. And so the next, you just approved this quarter, you won't be ready to have it implemented for the next quarter because we'll already be in it when you set the rate. So to make it clean, we always make sure when you set the rate, it doesn't go into effect until the next quarter that happens, so. Okay,
All right.
good. We can do that, and that will help.
Okay. Any more discussion from anybody?
Nope.
No. All right, then we will be moving on to number 3 on the 7th order of business. And this will let the town manager take over the Green Road brush dump.
I don't have to take over from that. We have the public works director here. He
Oh,
can
okay.
help you with that one, as well as the fire chief and the police chief.
So as you all know, we've closed it, stopped taking brush and stopped all shooting at this point. We're closing the gate anytime we go in or out, just to keep folks out. We've placed no shooting signs out there. They've already been pulled down, thrown over the bank, and now put back again. We've removed roughly 15 tons of debris that was hauled to between waste management and pine tree waste. Yes.
I forget what the cost per ton is to remove stuff to the dump.
Just for the tonnage, Courtney, it's $80 a ton. I can't quote that for waste management, but the majority has gone to pine trees.
Was that just brush or was that just?
No, that was
Everything.
10 tons of shingles.
Anything contaminated out of that? Or?
Not yet. DEP, I have the call in the DEP.
Yeah.
They are coming to meet with me, hopefully next week. The guy had a very busy schedule, but it could be an issue that we're gonna do some water tests to test for lead.
Just hope I didn't ask too much questions for that email.
No, they're good questions, and I think that they need to be answered. We need to be open and upfront with this. It's gone on for a long time, and we should do the water quality testing. Maybe it will be nothing, or maybe it will be something.
You
But
didn't find any unexploded ordnance out there?
and none of that,
Okay.
no. Yes.
If there is a water quality problem, is this gonna be something that we need to appropriate a separate amount of funds to clean up?
That's more Michelle's department with that. I mean, at this point, we just don't know until DEP comes out and takes some samples.
If it's in the well water, then they have to take a test of the water.
It's too early to try to make any sort of assumption about what any kind of cleanup cost could be when it comes to those pieces. It's one of those things where it has happened for a long time, but we knew, like a lot of folks have said before in the past, it never used to be as messy as it is right now. So folks used to actually take their shotguns, discharge shotgun shells with them, or their bullet casings with them, and that sort of stuff. And what's happened is that's not happening. They're everywhere. And they were all over the place, and people were firing in multiple locations, and we've had people tell us that they were there dropping off brush, and because public was there, it didn't stop the firing from happening. So it really has gotten to the point where the concern it was not just the explosives that were going off. We're really concerned, based upon visibility and other pieces, that somebody was actually going to get shot. And that was the biggest reason for the real concern that happened last week, because of all of the various different locations that people were shooting. So the cleanup piece, fortunately, you know, this was during the spring cleanup, so we were able to take that tonnage at a better rate to Pine Tree Waste as part of all of that. Our tonnage rate with waste management is much higher than that. It's $90 a ton, I think, is what it is. And I'll have to double check, but I know it's over 80. And so we would have had to pay that cost as we went in across the scales going there to them. That has nothing to do with the brush and the wood and all of that stuff. That stuff's still there. This is just the debris and the things that have been shot up and destroyed, so.
Just lucky as no fire went off in there because it's been so dry. I have seen ammunition going off and set of fire, especially what they use for explosive. These explosive targets. That's all in fireworks,
Right.
using that. So just lucky we didn't have a brush fire and or property damage. Well, that if it had a bad fire. So.
How much gravel or fill do we have that's usable left in that pit?
That's what that was for.
Yardage wise, I wouldn't even dare guess, but there is still usable.
Significant amount?
There's a
or-
significant amount, yes.
Okay.
There's, it will sustain us for another 3 to 5 years for what we use.
All right, so,
It's not worth abandoning what we have there.
okay, it's not bulldoze the whole thing in and just,
The back pit, yes, that is the plan that we want to do way out back. There is nothing left there.
oh, there's nothing left out in the back pit?
Out in the back where we put the brush and so forth, there is a hole there that we want to fill. And that will be a discussion with DEP as well while they're here.
So we can remove some of the shooting area by just,
I mean, the shooting area, it's removed at this point. It's not allowed, and there's enough people in the area that know that it's not allowed now that they will notify PD if they hear shots. You know, I don't live far from there.
stone's throw,
Right.
if you got a good arm.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I think the shooting has been addressed.
okay. Then, all right, it's just dumping, and if we've got a gate across there and there's no way to get around it,
Yeah, and we're all brainstorming on what to do when we do open and how we can police it better. Sorry.
Just gonna say, you need to go to the microphone for you to speak.
thank you.
And we are looking at various different options on how we're going to address it. It is not our intent to keep this resource for people to dispose of brush and leaf debris closed indefinitely. That's not our goal. But how do we manage it so that we don't keep continually having this problem? This is not the first time this year alone that we've had major tonnage of shingles that we've had to pay to dispose of, and it's not fair.
I mean,
to
if we've got
residents.
the cameras out by the road and you can only dump out by the road, I mean, you could take the loader and push most of that stuff anywhere you want it in the facility. So I mean, if you got cameras out by the road wherever they could dump,
Right.
then where else can they, you know, if they're gonna dump shingles, I mean, it'd be pretty obvious next to the road to see it.
As long as they don't steal the camera.
Put it
Well,
on,
that's what I'm
mount it up on a post, a
Yeah.
steel one that they can't cut down easily.
Because that's what I was thinking about with the cameras, and I really can't see how much they cost.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's kind of secret what we're buying, so.
But still, people, when they know the cameras are there, it's like, it's dangling a carrot. And no matter how high they might be, how effective will it be? And then it will be a loss on our side. For the police chief,
Yes.
is the Green Road dump patrolled regularly?
It is.
It is. And do the officers just go by the gate or go in?
A little bit of both. They
Little.
haven't been going in, well, they have been going in a lot since while we were preparing to close the dump. And the people had been pretty decent at that point. I don't believe we saw any issues since the posting has gone up, other than the signs being ripped down and put back up. We put cameras in there before that were stolen, and I believe some were vandalized. So we have bought new camera systems that will remotely, it'll take the photograph and then remotely send the picture to a off-site server, I guess you would call it. And that will assist us a little bit, but the cameras that we did put up prior to this were hard to tell. People will drive in an SUV, we see them driving back out again. There is a piano there, or a drum there, or shingles there on the ground later on. We've got photographs of cars going in and out, but not necessarily what's in them.
All right. So are you able to control the cameras from a computer at the station?
Not at the station, but we will have a remote facility that we'll be able to go to and download the data, yes. We are talking about some sort of a security system, so it can't be shot from a distance, and if it is shot from a distance, it'll be able to take a picture of it at least before it goes by the wayside.
We don't want to give too many details about our security plans.
It's just that for the amount of money that we're spending on cameras, I wonder if there's a different way that we could patrol this. I mean, when I was a kid, that was the place where people would go, Green Road Dump, to go do some target practicing. So it's been around forever. And I just don't know about cameras, if it's a wise.
Muskets.
Musket.
Nice.
Rifles, so I can hear them going off all the time.
What kind of rifle?
Automatic.
Oh,
Yeah, I had them going off all the time.
Yeah, they're not just firing muskets anymore.
no. No, so,
And that will be okay, but there is still a dumping issue if the gates are gonna be open. You know, the officers will patrol it once, they may possibly catch somebody in there. But then there's all the rest of the shift that they're not there, that people can drive in. Very
So
hard
some
to-
of the security issues we have out there is that there's no readily available internet, and that's how a lot of the security systems out there in the world work. You know, so we have to get creatives, which is why the cleaning up piece and possibly, you know, when we find out what we can do with the area that's no longer of any use to us, so maybe the facility gets landscaped differently so that its topography is different and the way people dump brush and various different things in there is different. So we're looking at all possible ideas, so to try to keep it safe and not have to close it down every time we turn it around.
my feeling is if we're still using the gravel or the sand from that area, keep the gate up, and then if there's brush, why couldn't people bring the brush to the Public Works garage, and then that it could be taken from there?
So the other.
That way nobody could.
Want to explain that?
Is there that much brush being brought out there?
Yes, the
Really?
majority of the brush, I would say, is coming from contractors and out-of-towners.
Oh, my word.
Yes. And the trouble with doing it at Public Works is we end up with the same issue. We're not gated at Public Works. If Public Works was all fenced off, and we opened the gates at 6 AM, and we closed them at 3 when we went home, it would probably work perfect. That's, I know Winslow does it that way, Waterville does something similar. We just don't have the manpower for somebody to sit and check a registration or something to that effect, and we're not gated off, so after hours is when it happens. And we try to restrict it to brush and leaves, but we're getting big largewood. That is just not the intent.
And is the Green Road dump the only place that's being used as a dump? What about up on Martin Street? That's not an issue? Way out back by the dirt road?
Oh, I think I saw a mattress out there the other day, but as far as, people dumping gold at the hood, no.
No.
No, it hasn't been for years. I remember years ago,
Yeah.
it was a big issue. But, yeah.
Oh. It'd be interesting to know how many contractors are using the dump, Green Road dump. Yeah, maybe with those cameras, we'll be able to tell.
Maybe.
You don't know. Wow.
It is possible.
I think it's worthy of a follow-up discussion, maybe three months before snow flies, so we can see what's going
In
on.
3 months, snow's gonna fly? What are you?
Well, before the snow flies.
before, oh.
Yeah, 3 months, at least in 3 months, but before the snow flies. So,
With the way the weather has been
It's true.
lately, I'm not even sure if it could happen.
Blizzard in October.
but it's an issue that we have to keep our thumbs on it, because I don't like being used like that, and it's a threat, safety threat, so. Okay. I'm done.
Anyone else care to say anything? Okay. Moving on, and number 4 would be discuss other council business. We'll start with Stephanie.
All right, well, as you know, next weekend is going to be, not this weekend, but the following weekend, 4th of July. And we do have an ordinance in the town of Fairfield concerning fireworks. And it is so dry outside. Fire chief, what number are we at for fire danger?
We are closed, the state is shut down.
The state has shut down.
As far as issuing permits.
Yeah, and I went to weather.com to see what the long-range plan was for weather for the 4th of July. And there's a 4-day stretch prior to the weekend where we're going to get showers, but that I doubt will be enough to saturate the ground. So I'm asking our citizens to please be aware that we have 5 days where we can put out the fireworks. 2 days before, the day of the 4th, and then 2 days afterwards. And you can only do fireworks if we're at a level 1 or a level 2. So, and if we are at a level 1 and a level 2, make sure you have the garden hose handy, because the ground is so dry, it wouldn't take much for the grass to
Fireworks right in the
catch.
last 2 weeks.
I'm
I've
sorry?
been hearing fireworks the last 2 weeks.
You
There's
have?
been
Oh, yeah.
complaints and Shawmut and things
Wow.
like that.
We've had fireworks in town.
Yeah.
We can hear them.
So anyways, that's the ordinance for our town, so I wish everybody a good 4th and a safe 4th.
Yeah. Well, you can have, I know one of the situations, it sounds like it, but Benton has no ordinance, so they can do fireworks anytime they wish over theirs.
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good.
I'm all set.
Yeah, I just want to wish everyone a happy 4th, be safe. And that's it.
That's it. All right. And the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, July 8th, 2020, to be held as a hybrid meeting via Zoom and in council chambers at 6:30 p.m. And that is actually the choice of the council. Of each council member could also attend in Zoom if they wish. Okay. No discussion. 8th order of business, executive session. I have none on my list.
Recess. Recess. I need a motion for recess to sign.
Okay, we need a motion to recess to sign everything we need to sign.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? We're in recess.